Green Party members squaring up to Shabana Mahmood. We've got freaking labor. MPs turning on their own ministers. And my goodness me, Jeremy Corbyn came out the sort of cobwebs as well. He's an absolute disgrace and an absolute traitor. But yeah, we're just going to feast our eyes. Yes, I'm a sad man and I like to see liberal tears. And what I enjoy it. Only can't you wait until right when government comes into power and these decisions are pushed through. It's going to be glorious. Absolutely glorious to see these Muppets crying every single week. But either way, guys, let's hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, sit back and relax and enjoy the tears. Deputy Speaker, it isn't people seeking sanctuary that are tearing our country apart. It's toxic racist narratives and the scapegoating of migrants and asylum seekers for what is nothing to do with them. The chronic housing crisis, the running down of public services are not caused by migrants. They are caused by political decisions and by the grotesque inequality in this country. Does the Secretary of State realize that aiming to outreform reform is actually merely supporting this baseless far-right narrative and will only deepen divisions when we urgently need leadership and hope instead? Perfect. Let me tell her I couldn't care less what any other political party something to say about these topics. I don't care what other politicians are saying on the television. I don't care what other activists are saying either. I care about the fact that I have an vital thing to undertake and I can see that there is a problem here that needs to be fixed. If it was possible to pretend there wasn't a problem because there wasn't one, I wouldn't be stating there is one. There is a significant problem in this asylum system, and we need someone to figure out, not to pretend it doesn't exist, which I'm afraid is one of the things that fuels a split in the first place. My own constituents, since I have been Home Secretary, have been alerting me directly about violations in the visa system that they may view with the evidence of their own eyes long before any officials in right have ever clocked onto such things. It is a moral accountability when you see something broken to fix it and to make sure that the fact that it's broken is not fueling divisiveness in our country. And let me also say to her, it is Green Party politicians that are absolute hypocrites because they communicate fantastic language in here and then reject asylum accommodation in their own constituencies. Applause. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Nowhere in the Home Secretary statement does she put this into any kind of global context about the millions of people that have become refugees or homeless all around the world, and that more than 2/3 of those are housed by the southern countries, the poorest countries in the world with the least resources possible to do it. And what she's doing instead is putting in draconian measures against refugees trying to come to this country, failing to recognize that more than 6,000, for example, of those that crossed the channel this year come from Afghanistan, a war-torn country that we helped to make become a war-torn country. And she instead is trying to please the most terrible right-wing racist forces all across Europe and weakening and stepping away from the European Convention on Human Rights, a convention created by the post-war Labour government. Does she not accept history is going to be a harsh shame on this government for undermining the complete global humanitarian ideals behind the ECR and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Secretary, well, not for the first time. I'm a little perplexed as to what the honest gentleman is talking about. He starts with the overall context. I think my initial point is different than his, because I start with our household context first. He ought to know that in this country there have already been customized schemes for the resettlement of people from Afghanistan. So perhaps he could, read up on those schemes. He should also have heard from what I said in my message that we stay absolutely devoted to affording sanctuary to those they are fleeing conflict abroad. We think that the best way to do that is not to encourage people to embark aboard a boat in the Channel by paying thousands and thousands of pounds to people smugglers, who, by the way, it's not just smuggling. That's a nasty crime. Those persons are interested in all sorts of other disgusting organized crime. They should not be in receipt of money from vulnerable persons. I want to disincentivize persons making that choice, and I want to incentivize individuals coming, using safe and legal paths instead. And if he would truly read the asylum policy statement, he would know it's the policy position of this government to deliver more safe and legal routes. Once he's done more reading, I'll be pleased to address more of his inquiries. Richard Bergen. Thank you, Richard Bergen. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I do recall when the Prime Minister pledged an immigration scheme based upon compassion and dignity. Yet now, and it needs to be said, we've got an immigration minister tweeted, deport, deport, deport. And now this policy announcement, which I'm afraid scrapes the bottom of the barrel, if we're being candid. Isn't this simply a desperate effort to triangulate with reform? And, like some of the other horrible policy blunders that have been committed in recent months, isn't it not just ethically reprehensible, yet another measure which is set to drive away labor voters? Why not recognize that now than in a few months and make a U-turn? I'm Secretary. I would really caution my honorable friend not to defend a shattered status quo. He should also realize that it is foreign national criminals that are deported from this country, and I would hope that could agree that foreign national perpetrators should be deported from this country. We should not be keeping convicted criminals in our nation a day longer than is strictly necessary. And I just say to him, the thing that's morally incorrect is understanding that you have a flawed system and then pretending either that it's not broken or defending a shattered status quo. I will never tolerate that, and I have to speak to him as I've